What is a good sommelier to you?
For me, a good sommelier is a person that pays close attention to the needs of the members and guests that he services.
Hey guys, I'm here at Palo Alto Hills Golf and Country Club to meet Thomas Brenner. He's a sommelier here, and we're going to talk about the business of sommeliers. Guys, I'm at the outdoor side of this club. Beautiful location. I guess Thomas is the right person to explain me what it is.
Hello, I'm Thomas Brenner. Welcome. This is my wine cellar. Let's take a look inside. Here you will see our showroom cellar, an inventory of all of our beautiful wines that we'd like to display, ranging from vintage Bordeaux, Grand Cru, Premier Cru, and otherwise. Our international selections are to your right. We have Pinot Noirs, Cabernets, and various red blends over by the wall. This is a room to showcase our most prized items, and it's also an inventory of quickly accessible wine offerings. Most of the wines that we feature by the bottle are housed here and can be retrieved quickly by the staff after a member of the country club requests it for their dining purposes.
What is a good sommelier to you?
Thank you so much for coming and joining us here at Palo Alto Hills Golf and Country. We're so pleased to welcome you, Mr. Patel. For me, a good sommelier is a person that pays close attention to the needs of the members and guests that he services. Basically, at the end of the day, it is all about guest and membership satisfaction. Yes, behind the scenes, there should be attractive sales as well, but it should be a mutually beneficial endeavor where the member or guest receives the bottle that they maybe not even know that they would want. A lot of times, it's interpreting what the guest or member would like. A lot of times you get vague adjectives such as juicy, fruity, dry, delicious, yummy, fun. We have to interpret. Most of the time I find that if you ask them what they usually do enjoy and what they have enjoyed in the past, you could better guide them to something that is similar and even better to what they enjoyed. Here I'm very fortunate that the clientele we have is very discerning at times and also very, very open. A good sommelier is able to read their guests and understand what the purpose is. Should it be a show wine offering with a beautiful label, something to show off that is very attractive to their fellow attendees and fellow diners? Is it a celebratory effort? Should it be a champagne bottle? Certain things like that. And then, of course, there's the pairability of food items to be considered, such as steaks or a lamb with a Syrah, things like that. A wonderful sommelier wonderfully understands exactly what the clientele demands of him or her. I'm very fortunate here at the Country Club to work as a sommelier, as it functions differently than an ordinary restaurant. Normally restaurants, you have new faces come in every day, and every now and then you would have a repeat guest. Here, the membership of over 600, their spouses, family, and their guests do frequent this and treat the club and its facilities as a home away from home, most of which all live on the outer perimeter of the Country Club itself. So you get to know the members here, and you get to know exactly what they enjoy, be it Napa Cabernets, Chardonnays, and also obscure Italian grape varieties.
That's a good point. I think you say, one example is if someone is here for a business meeting, that approach would be very different than the same person is here with a partner, I guess, right? And what to offer and what sort of things they may drink that day.
Absolutely. There are different stages too. Should they wish to start with some champagne, then move into a white wine, a more full-bodied white wine, lighter red, transcending over to a more full-bodied red, and then a dessert wine like a Sauterne. These are the things to be considered as well. You have to find something that fits every occasion. I am very fortunate to have a wonderful array of members, about 1/3 of which are Indian, 1/3 are Asian, and the other third mostly Caucasian. It's a very unique mix, an eclectic mix of young members as well as seniors.
What most of the times, reaches a reason what makes, you fire a sommelier, let's say if you were managing a couple, what kind of things just like, no, you just cannot do that stuff, obviously apart from the obvious ones, something that you think that the person just has to be fired because of that?
I think the main time that a firing or a termination of employment is warranted when there is insubordination, when there's a certain degree of disrespect, theft on a repeated instance. First, of course, we issue corrective measures. We like to lead with positive reinforcement and applaud them for a job well done. And when the opposite presents itself, then we try to enforce corrective measures and try to retrain before firing is even considered. However, there are times where purposeful sabotage, such as spilling drinks or being rude to a guest, that is unacceptable. Showing up late repeatedly, or perhaps theft or abuse, or getting drunk on the job, which in the restaurant industry, sadly, is a thing that is all too very common. These days, however, we just need breathing bodies. We're very lucky to have youngsters fresh out of high school, Jamba Juice and Pete's Coffee.
Oh, yeah?
We welcome them all. They help us a lot, and we're very lucky to have the team we have here. However, a situation where a sommelier would be fired is one where the goal of guest and membership satisfaction is not met. Instead, the opposite presents itself.
Yeah.
Now here's where the true magic happens. It's the live inventory room. Please come on inside. Here we have shelves representing certain bays. Each bay has a certain type of wine. On the left side, we have our Pinot Noirs, and further down, we have our Cabernets, our white wines, such as Rieslings, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, culminating in champagnes and sparkling wines at the top, and our by-the-glass inventory right here. Here we have the bulk of our wine inventory, as well as our spirits. It is organized by type. We have Pinot Noirs, Cabernets, and white wines. The fast-moving items are in the back rear corner, such as our by-the-glass placements. Here at the Country Club, we're also lucky enough to have been awarded a wholesale retail license. This kept us alive during COVID. During the pandemic, we were able to offer our members to-go wines by the case and by the bottle. So therefore, we moved through a lot of cases of wine, therefore negating the need to lay the bottles down as we move through our inventory quite swiftly. A lot of times, we will basically place fast-moving items just in front of the bay, just right over here as well. And then behind you as well, we have our house wines for banquet events, such as weddings and different events that happen on site. If you would follow me over here, we have our spirits organized by liqueurs, aperitifs, digestives, whiskeys and scotch, moving on to tequila, gin, and finally whiskey, whereas to your left side, we have our international red sections comprised of Tuscans, Burgundies, Bordeaux's, so on and so forth. Basically, a dream come true for any sommelier. We are now in a setting that is encompassed by our driving range, the whole of the San Francisco Bay Area behind me, and our brand new outdoor events center situated on the golf course behind you. This has the most beautiful views, and we also have our outdoor event functions such as Oktoberfest, weddings, so on and so forth.
So Thomas, I wanted to touch base on the emotional side of this job, really mentally, where are you tested? And, walk over, help other sommeliers and how they can, navigate this journey, the day-to-day tasks, the week-to-week tasks, some of the challenges, walk over some examples, and please give us some solution to help them navigate, please.
As is true for many roles in the restaurant industry, in this role as a hospitalitarian, you have to accommodate guests, your superiors, your subordinates, and your direct peers in any capacity and in any way that certain challenges may manifest themselves. This could be unanticipated shortcomings as far as late arrivals of the team, as well as the guests and members, as well as depletion of inventory that had not been anticipated. This could also present itself in the temperature of a certain offering not being up to par or up to the standards of the esteemed clientele, which we cater to here. A lot of times we encounter situations such as a member that might deem a bottle to be structurally unsound, a faulty bottle, even if it just needs a little bit of time to open. It is perfectly fine to just return the bottle and offer them what they need.
But as per you, it is technically correct. It's just how are you going to navigate that part?
Exactly. You never want to tell the guest or the member that they are wrong. At the end of the day, it is all about guest satisfaction, and we want to get them what they want. And there's always a way to return the item or just to pour it by the glass as a special and make other guests feel very special as you give them a little toast pour, or you just offer it as a special feature by the glass. In this industry, it is oftentimes very stressful. I like to think that the restaurant industry counts as among the most stressful of all work environments on the entire planet. For instance, if a fly falls into a cocktail, you immediately have to make it new. Whereas if you get your tire fixed at the body shop, you can't tell them that it got dirty and you need it replaced. This is the only place of employment where you have to cater to every single whim of every single flight of fancy of every single member and be an expert on every ingredient, sub-ingredient, sauce, protein, starch, and vegetable of every single dish, and be an expert on every last wine variety, on every last region, on every vintage, on everything that you are offering, and never be stumped. That is the challenge. That is the challenge. You have to prepare yourself mentally and educationally and be textbook ready and show ready at all times.
And that only can happen if you're truly, truly in love with what you like, right? I guess at some point it's just not the money, it has to be passion. How you keep on going? Like, what was your journey? You know, let's say, why are you doing this? You know, where do you want to go? You want to become a master sommelier? You know, what is keeping you going?
For me, this all started at a fine dining restaurant about 10 years ago. I was already in the restaurant industry. I started as a dishwasher. I've done it all. I was at a Jamba Juice making smoothies in the center of a food court at a mall. I've seen it all and done it all. My path to ascension for this upper echelon of the restaurant industry came about by listening to my former sommelier and mentor talk about terroir. The belief that that which surrounds a vineyard site imparts a certain flavor and a certain characteristic that is inherent and unique to one certain type of wine. I was told about eucalyptus groves that surrounded this Napa Cabernet's vineyard site. And then all of a sudden, being susceptible to suggestion as I was, I perceived these mentholated eucalyptus notes. And from there on, my love for chemistry, biology, nature, anthropology, and cultural studies all aligned and fell into place with the love for wine. You know, in your youth, you might collect baseball cards, but once you're older, you collect wine, which is perfect in every single way as it keeps you interested.
How do you keep learning? Do you do anything apart from the learning that happens at the work? Do you read? Do you consume any podcasts? How do you instill more knowledge?
Over the past decade, I spent a lot of time taking classes, adhering to different accreditation and certification bodies that will award you with certain titles. I have done podcasts. I will read a lot. However, these days, as far as book smarts and textbook knowledge is concerned, I keep myself educated by reading and watching videos and finding content online. However, no longer do I go out and get educated by different for-profit outfits, to be honest.
Cool. So back to that pain points. What are the 3 super hard pain points, that normally come to you over the weeks, and how do you deal with that?
Oftentimes, having to make sure that I'm not spread too thin too often is the hardest thing for me, as I cannot be present everywhere, but time is always of the essence. There is always a multitude of different diners that have different needs that must be met at different times or at the same time. It's about prioritization and delegating and leaning on your staff. I am only as good as my team, and I'm very, very fortunate to have a very powerful, knowledgeable, and just very talented professional staff that functions as a third arm. I am able to have my teammates retrieve, chill, pour, and present different offerings, Basically, I act in the capacity of a consultant and basically advise the membership as to what I think that they would wish to enjoy, and then the staff presents it and pours it. It is very hard, and the biggest challenge for me is being spread too thin and not prioritizing my steps of service appropriately, and therefore not being able to get the item that the clientele wishes to enjoy to them in a perfect, timely manner.
What about the buying? Like, is that a challenge, or that's an easy part of the job?
I'm very fortunate here where there are no grand budgetary constraints. I'm very, very lucky where I'm afforded the clout to purchase as the need arises. Of course, if I were to over-purchase and spend money on items where the cost is not justified, then I will hear about it. However, that has not happened yet. I'm very, very fortunate to have a wide breadth of clientele that enjoys a plethora of different offerings. So therefore, I've been very fortunate to purchase at my will.
And sales challenge, right? Is there a pressure there? On a slow month, next month you got to go back and hit some numbers. How do you deal with that? What do you do? You know?
Currently the largest challenge are imports. We are seeing a lot of shortfalls for inventory and also delays for the arrival of Burgundies and Champagnes. Not only do they not arrive in a timely manner, the prices are also stratospheric when compared to historical contexts. For instance, this year, nobody will really be celebrating Beaujolais Nouveau, which is coming up on the third Thursday of every November. They are just not able to be flown in and will arrive late in December via boat. As far as sales quotas are concerned, no. Here, we offer to-go wines by the case and by the bottle, and for on-site, on-premise dining. Sales are basically just here for the satisfaction of the member, and if they're happy, then so are we. Basically, the profits are completely nominal when compared to traditional dining outlets. Our to-go bottles are marked up just merely anywhere between 15 and 25% tops, just so that we can justify the labor costs and the tax. That is basically it.
So the value is the club membership. They should walk away and always feel that I have this membership, that's why I'm getting this great deal, you know, because that's the focus.
Absolutely. This country club differs vastly from traditional dining outlets in the sense that the #1 membership perk should be to no longer have to give into the lure of visiting traditional brick and mortar outlets like Total Wine and Bevmo and canceling all of your wine club memberships, as we can beat these prices as we do not mark up the way traditional dining outlets would at 2.5 points per item. The #1 perk here for the membership should be access to a world of wines at pennies on the dime.
And one last question, you know, give 3-4 good interview questions so that other sommeliers can prepare better. And how do they prepare? What should an answer be, you know, when they're going for a nice Michelin star restaurant interview, let's say, you know, if they're, you know, help with some tips for their interview.
Well, at the beginning of service, you must ask yourself, what is your mise en place? What do you need for a perfect service? Firstly, it is a mindset. We are all on stage here. The second you walk through these doors, everybody sees you and everyone is aware and cognizant of everything that you do. The stage is set, the curtain is unfurled, and you leave everything that bothers you and all of your private life at home, and you are an actor on stage. Everybody has their role to play. The role for a sommelier is a person who caters to the needs of their clientele. It should not ever be limited to just wine service. We sommeliers can be dishwashers. We also can help be prep cooks. We run food, we bus tables, we set up chairs, and we break down large events. You need to ask yourself, what do you need to be prepared? It could be ice buckets, serviettes, your Coravin full with the tanks, anything and everything like that. You must also ask yourself, what new items do you have that you would like to offer to the guests? Then you inform your staff at lineup what has been 86'd, what has been brought on, and that which you should wish to deplete that day. Also, lastly, I would highly recommend that any good sommelier always has a high, a medium, and a low price point wine in their back pocket for every type. This would mean for a champagne, for a white wine, and a red wine, so that you can better accommodate the needs of your specific clientele in that very instance. you.